This is a very cheap lens, but does that mean it's bad? Well, I think it's kind of subjective, and I believe that you really get what you pay for. So in this brutally honest review, I want to take a look at this lens. I want to provide you with facts, with picture and video examples, as well as pros and cons of this Viltrox 56mm f1.4 lens, so that by the end of the video, you're able to decide for yourself if you're willing to save money and buy this lens and compromise on a few things, or you would rather spend a little bit more and get some other lens. Let's get into it. Alright, so let's start with the bad things of this lens, and then we'll go on to what I think is the really strong side of this particular lens. So the first thing on my list is autofocus performance. And when it comes to autofocus in photos, most of the times it's fine when focusing from close distance to far distance objects. Sometimes it takes quite a lot of time. It doesn't understand that it needs to focus on the object that I've already moved the frame. This is the situation, I would say, like in 20% of the shots that I take. But the problem for video autofocus is the sound that this lens makes. The autofocus itself is quite fine. It works as it's supposed to work. It's nothing brilliant, but the sound that it makes is just, it feels like the lens is absolutely broken. But I reached out to Viltrox and they said no, that it is not broken, and you know, I think it's just the build quality of the autofocus motor itself that is not that well made. I try to focus on really close distance. That means that the lens tries to hunt back and forth really quickly, and this is the sound it makes. So, and this is the normal use autofocus. Next up, we have the performance of the pictures. I took over 600 pictures with this lens, and there are two main issues with this lens when taking pictures. One of them is chromatic aberration, or so-called fringing, and the other one is soft corners. And starting with the first one, as you can see in this example, for example, here around the hand, there is just this very weird green kind of fringing. As you can see here in these trees, this is even worse, the purple kind of thing there against the sky, and also here this doesn't look that good. So this is something you have to take into consideration. The chromatic aberration is really bad and you can't really fix it. The same goes with the videos. Actually, in the videos, I try to take a lot of videos with this lens, and the sharpness was really nice in the video, all is fine, but that chromatic aberration, especially here you can see on this Sigma letters, if you notice, it's not white, it's more like pink or violet kind of color, and the same goes in the picture, in the same place in the picture it looks like that. And the second issue that I told you about is the soft corners when taking the pictures, but it still is there. I'm just flagging it out just so you're aware. Next up, no optical steady stabilization, no weather sealed. This is sub $300 lens, so you shouldn't expect. Also, there's no switches for autofocus, manual focus, or focus hold button or anything like that. I don't even consider that as a drawback, just flagging it out here. Regarding the pros, actually there are quite a lot of pros, and starting with the first one is actually the build quality. When you take it in the hand, the lens feels really nice. It's fully metal built. All of the rings, like the focus ring, is super smooth. It seems like it's very well built, and the quality of production is good. And another feature, which is with a little bit more premium lenses, is manual aperture control ring. Also, the lens is really small and light. It weighs only 290 grams, and considering that it's f1.4, did a good job by keeping it really small. And speaking of which, f1.4 is another major plus for this lens. Regarding the picture quality, I didn't see any vignetting on this lens, so that's nice. And to be honest, look at these examples. This lens is extremely sharp in the center. So the issue is with the corners where they get really soft, but the center is just so sharp. I mean, look at these pictures. All of these things are really sharp and provides a nice image quality, and I was really surprised regarding this. I didn't expect anything like that from this lens. One of the last things that I want to mention, what is the pro for this lens, is that Viltrox provides updates, and they release them quite often as well. And with the update, I think you could fix the chromatic aberration and fringing issue, and maybe improve the autofocus performance as well. I don't think they could fix the soft corners completely, and I don't think they could fix the autofocus sound, but I think there could be a lot of improvements. But this is cool that once you buy the lens, you always get the newest firmware updates, and that can help a lot with the performance. So, and the last thing I want to mention is the price. I mean, it is, I have my notes here, $279, and this is one of the cheapest 50mm lenses that you can get. Let's take a look at other alternatives that you can have. So basically, I've identified 3 other alternatives for you. One of them is a really popular lens, which is the Sony 50mm F1.8 OSS version of this lens that is made for crop sensor cameras specifically. Costs approximately $320, and I think if you're a videographer, this is a lens for you because you will really make use of the optical steady stabilization. It's decently priced, and it's just overall good lens. Next up, we have our beloved Sony 50mm f1.8 without the OSS. That is for full frame cameras, and it's dirt cheap. It's $248. That's really cheap for a full frame lens. Also a good lens, but it's completely plastic, so the build quality doesn't stand close to this lens. Also, it's f1.8, this is f1.4, this has aperture ring, that lens doesn't have anything. With all that being said, if you're a photographer, I wouldn't save money on any of the other lenses. I would get the Sigma 56mm f1.4 because it has the best sharpness, it has the best build quality, and it just works phenomenal, and it's really good lens. Costs the most, it costs $384 compared to this one, $279. I mean, that's $100 difference. With that being said, I really hope this video is helpful for you to make the decision yourself, because I try to show you the pros and cons of it. That's why it costs $279, that's why it doesn't cost $500, because of course there are a couple of cons. It is up to you to decide if it is important for you or not. If it is, then look up on other lenses. If it is not, get this one. That's it for me today, my dear friends. Dom Surex here as always with you. I'll see you all in the next video, and keep on creating.